We just announced Shit, Wale, ICO Beast, AP Collective, Pix, Zeneca, Star Platinum, Bandit as a R3ACH exclusive creator.
We got a legend here, CaptainCK. About Wale Swoot, what impressed you the most?
One of the big things that I've learned in getting to work with him is this idea of the golden triangle. The best outcome for a sponsor, the audience of the creator, and the creator exists when all parties are equally taken care of.
You know, R3ACH is very professional in contacting partners, putting together offers, handling the process behind the scenes.
Why pod-in products have become popular these days. Can we call this like building your own narrative on CT?
Yes, I would call it launching a product. Vibe coding is just the next step in development, and development's not a trend. If you have an idea, go build it, because if you don't develop, someone else is going to develop it and get rich off of it.
What are the main differences between you and many other agencies?
We're the only company in crypto that actually manages KOLs. We manage KOLs' businesses for them.
Why it's important to have small creators as well?
Content creation in crypto is a winner-take-all game. The advantage of working with micro KOLs is primarily going to be volume.
How can someone earn in Web3 today without having their own business?
You will not make money doing anything in crypto other than helping somebody else make money. That is how you make money in crypto.
First of all, I would like to know, like, how do you feel on the current bear market? What has changed since last year, and how was your mood? How is your mood in general?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot to process, you know, with the market not being where it was last year. One of my core ideologies and tools that I use to help me whenever the market kind of sucks like this is to really just focus on what I can control. You know, there's a mental model used in a book I like called 7 Habits, which is your circle of influence and your circle of concern. And essentially, in all times, I try to only focus on the things that I control and that I can influence. And the market is not one of these. So this is something that's really helped me. And I think there's, you know, times when I'm really disappointed and frustrated and I'd love for the market to be in a better place, but it's super unproductive for me to think that. And so I try to just focus on what I can control. And as long as I focus on what I can control, I'm in the same mood I would be in a bull run, because you know, I'm just controlling what I can control and focused on trying to do the best I can with what we have, you know?
Yeah, bro. I mean, I chatted with quite a lot of people recently, builders, especially, and I'm very happy to see, like, to hear that people are actually motivated. They're feeling good, and they're just not bored. You know, the whole CT is talking about like some slop. You know, they are bored. They don't know what to do. But happy to see that, you know, builders, we have people who actually want to push forward, who want to overcome it, and will overcome for sure with such approach and vision. And, you know, many people know you. You're always around on the timeline with your content, with R3ACH Network, and we're going to talk about basically everything today for a little bit. But, you know, can you briefly introduce yourself and walk us through your journey in crypto and Web3? And when did you start, and what were the main milestones?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I joined the space about 4 years ago. When I first joined the space, I got onboarded through a guy in my college hall. His name's Cross, a good guy. But I was at the time in entrepreneurship classes, you know, trying to learn how to start a business. And I had this really unusual experience of being in a classroom surrounded by, you know, hundreds of people interested in starting businesses and making money on their own. And then I had this guy Cross, who was not an entrepreneurship major, who made $1 million trading Bored Apes. And you know, getting to see that was just really eye-opening to me, because I was like, well, maybe I should stop just talking about doing this and just like go and do something, because that was kind of what Cross modeled for me. So I was super curious, got to learn about what he was doing from him, and he kind of got me into crypto, got me into this space. At the time, I was working on my first business, which was actually painting custom shoes. And so in coming into this space, kind of my first like business venture in crypto was actually painting custom shoes. You can see a pair here as an example. So I used to paint NFTs on shoes. And so when I like for my college campus, of course I wasn't painting NFTs, but I was like, this is a super easy, you know, way to transition my business, because you know, if people are willing to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on these monkey pictures, you know, how much would they pay to put that monkey picture on a shoe? And so that was kind of the thesis behind my first business. Ran that for a while, and yeah, really found like I would say like pretty decent success with it. We probably sold like 50 pairs of shoes, and they're like not cheap. So we did pretty well. I decided to shut it down after shipping a pair of shoes to Africa and paying $500 in shipping. I was like, this is not it. This is not the play. This is not going to work because, you know, how much can you charge for a pair of shoes? You know, I just can't be paying $500 shipping. It don't work. So decided to transition. I kind of went through the whole hustle track within crypto. I bounced around tons of different things. I was doing the collab managing. I was doing all of the different things that people were doing at the time, wore all the different hats, and yeah, ultimately found myself in a marketing role at a project called Probably Nothing. That was kind of where I got my sea legs as far as marketing goes. They hired me as their community manager / marketing manager. So I was kind of in charge of both realms with them, and I was able to build a lot of good experience there. And the founder, Jeremy, happened to have, you know, a really great Rolodeck of connections. And so he was fortunately able to onboard lots of great companies to the space. They brought in like Warner Records, Bose, CNN, among others. And I essentially got to work with him on all of those launches. And so that kind of got me into the consulting side of the space, where I was able to, again, work with him on these different launches and kind of understand how that process worked. And so through that, I essentially just built experience until I got to a place where I really felt like I could take a bet on myself and begin independent consulting. So I started independent consulting, just working with other projects that were coming to this space, really just NFT projects at the time. And yeah, found a good bit of success doing it. And so I decided to try to turn it into a proper thing, which led to starting my first business venture with my business partners, Tom, Bill, and Declan, which our first company was called Wayfinder. Wayfinder was essentially like your typical go-to-market agency, full scope, like we were kind of doing everything A to Z. And so we did that for a while. We were able to work with a lot of cool brands. Like I already mentioned some of them, like Warner Records, Bose, CNN, Zepeto, Smurfs, like lots of Web 2 IPs coming to Web 3, and we would like do go to market for them. With that being said, like we never actually built a really successful business. Like we were never able to grow like super big. We're never super well known, like just never really cracked the code with Wayfinder. And one of the things that we found at the time is we were talking to lots of companies, and they were like, okay, guys, we have this awesome idea. You're going to go and you're going to have everyone on crypto Twitter post about us. And we're like, okay, we're a good agency. We go and DM the creators. We're like, okay, we're going to get this sorted out for you. You know, we're going to make it happen because we're Wayfinder. We're going to make it happen. And it sucked. Like it sucked every time trying to get like creators involved with any of our clients. Like the whole infrastructure for influencer marketing in crypto was in its infancy. And so like nobody knew what to charge. You know, there was like huge variability in rates. People didn't know how to communicate. There wasn't like standard process. Like all the stuff that we have today around influencer marketing didn't exist. And so it was just the Wild West and nobody knew what they were doing. And so we were like, okay, you know what? Since we're a good agency, we're just going to pay someone else to do it, you know? So we went and tried to find another agency who could do this really well. And nobody could. Like nobody had really, really good systems in place for this. And so we were like, okay, you know, if there's no one who can solve this problem for us, why don't we just solve the problem for everyone? And so that's kind of where R3ACH came from. We decided to start R3ACH to try to build the single touch point to crypto's best creators. And we wanted to solve this influencer marketing dilemma for everybody. And so we built R3ACH. In our first year, we did like virtually no business, because kind of the thesis of the business was if we could create this network, which this is why we call it the R3ACH network. If we can create this network where people get their own deals, like brands DM them to work with them, they close those deals for themselves and then refer that deal to the network, we can then refer that deal out to 10 other creators. So it's supposed to be like this referral network, like creator community thing. And we never really found success because creators just weren't bought in, like they weren't bringing deals to us. And so this kind of led us down the road to what R3ACH is today, which R3ACH today is almost more positioned as a talent management company than it is an influencer marketing company. And what I mean by this is you've probably seen R3ACH Exclusive, as many other people have. R3ACH Exclusive is essentially our talent management offer in which we fully manage a creator. And the reason we actually moved from influencer marketing into talent management is because we knew that the crux of making Reach successful was to get deals and get opportunities out of the DMs of the creators we work with into our DMs. Because whenever a deal's in our DM, we can close it for 10 creators. So there's way, way more potential whenever a deal comes to us. And so we essentially started our full exclusive program, which was at the time Reach Flagship. We've rebranded it to Reach Exclusive to essentially solve this problem for us and to create this deal flow sharing network. And so we launched Reach Flagship program, and pretty much the year after that was like, it was just a rocket ship the entire year. And then we hit the end of last year, we launched Reach Exclusive, which was kind of a rebrand of what we were doing with our flagship program that just solved a bunch of the problems and complexities that we had with how we initially launched our flagship program. And yeah, that essentially brings us to today. So that's pretty much where Reach came from. That's a bit about my story.
As I said, I read many articles from you, and
Yeah.
one of them was about your experience with business, about Reach as well, how you build it, and yeah, it was like pretty fun, guys. If you wanna read it as well to know more, and for some people it's easier to consume information like while reading, or maybe you're busy, or maybe you're gonna watch the recording. Feel free to go to CaptainCK profile. Check highlights, check articles section, check video section. There are many information about it. And yeah, I'm happy that you already touched on Reach Network as well. But I want to come back to your journey, personal journey.
For sure.
Touch on the very interesting point, like about Wale. You worked or maybe still working with him as his manager, right? So how did you get this position? When did it happen? In the middle of your journey, maybe the beginning, or when did it happen? And what impressed you the most from working with such big KOL influencer, one of the best on CT?
For sure. We'll break that question down into two. So it's, how did we kind of build that relationship with Wale? How did we, get to where we are with him now? And then it's also like, what have we learned from that relationship with him? So starting with that first question, we first met Wale through Shiv. Shiv was one of the first, he actually was the first Reach creator. Fun fact. We brought Shiv on, and essentially after bringing him on, he hosted a show called The Wale Shows. And so after, starting to work with Shiv in a really in-depth way, we eventually got to a place where it was like, why don't we help you with the Wale Shows too? I think we could bring some value there. So that's kind of our foot in the door. We knew it was a huge opportunity at the time. Like, Wale was huge. We were like, this is what we need. We really need like one big creator. And so we were able to get our foot in the door through the Wale Shows. And, I'm a big believer in over delivering value. And so we just did everything we possibly could to just kill it with the Wale Shows. And we did. And Wale was like, hey, I want to work with you guys. And so we ended up bringing him on as our second flagship creator. So this would have been about a year into building Reach. We launched our flagship program, onboarded Shiv, and then onboarded Wale right after him. And then again, it was kind of a rocket ship after that. So that was essentially how we got in with him. Again, it's just creating value. It's the best way to do it. Just create value, make yourself valuable to people. And that's kind of what we've done our whole journey to get where we are. So that's how I'd answer the first question. To your second question regarding what we've learned from Wale, there's a lot. He's been our biggest creator for as long as Reach has been around. I think one of the big things that I've learned in getting to work with him is this idea of the golden triangle. This is an mental model that we have at Reach, which essentially states that the best outcome for a sponsor, the audience of the creator, and the creator exists when all parties are equally taken care of. So essentially what this means is often where people go wrong when monetizing their brand is whenever they prioritize one party over the other. So playing this out, a lot of people, whenever they start accepting sponsorships, will ignore their audience. And what I mean by this is whenever they write their sponsored content, they will take the authenticity of their content rip the authenticity out and replace it with a sponsor. And this diminishes the trust you have with your audience. Tons and tons and tons of people do this. Most people who write sponsored content in crypto do this. And so the content performs really bad, and then the audience is sad, and then the sponsor's sad because the content didn't perform well, and now the creator is sad because their content's not performing well and the sponsor wants to stop working with them. And so the point is, like, it's a triangle, and whenever any of those corners aren't taken care of, if the creator's not paid well, if the content's not organic enough that the audience enjoys it, and if the requests of the sponsor are not met, then all parties are unhappy. And so in getting to work with Wale, I've essentially gotten to see the way that he goes about writing content for our sponsors, and the way that he really works to protect his brand in working with them. And that's been something that we've been able to learn a lot from and apply to the relationships we have with our other creators.
Yeah, that's like very good to hear from you here live, because I read it once again with your materials, different ones, and seems like you're bullish on this point of like sponsors, audience, and creating content. And you wrote, as I remember, we need to create content for boss and make this like value for boss equally, right? As you just said. So, and I couldn't agree more with that. And you also wrote that many people don't get to this like sponsor position. They stuck with creating only for audience, and they are just basically losing their track. But yeah, we're gonna dive deeper into strategies for creators later, as I wrote in announcements, and I'm sure many people would love to hear that. But since we already started to talk about your backgrounds and Wale, I wanna just sum up this topic. So how many years in total you are in Web3 now?
4 years.
4 years, crazy. I'm 4 years as well.
Wonderful. There you go.
That's crazy. You can be proud of yourself, 100%. You achieved a lot of results, and I'm always, who wanted to build my Web2 business, and still wants, but not the right time probably. And I always admire people who build their businesses, especially in Web3, especially in the current market. So you have done a very, very good job. And
appreciate it.
And in terms of Wale, I also have one very relevant topic, I would say. AI is evolving, and coding products have become popular these days. And recently, just a few days ago, Wale with R3ACH Network launched an AI that estimates the value of your crypto startup idea, StartupCash. Can we call this like building your own narrative on CT?
Yes.
How would you just call it?
I mean, I would call it launching a product. I mean, that's what we did. We launched StartupCash. The AI wasn't really like anything. The AI is just to generate attention. We see social cards work super well, and so we integrated that to bring attention to the product. I mean, the core product is essentially just making sure people know about the opportunities available to them to raise capital to build their ideas. Like, that's really what we're trying to bring attention to. And you'll see this in the content that continues to come out in that series. Like, we're just trying to make that those opportunities accessible and visible, because I mean, so few people know that these things actually exist. Like, there's a lot of opportunities right now to go and get your idea funded, like you're talking about with like starting your business. Like, so many people can go and start their business, but a lot of people didn't even know these things existed. So we decided to build a product to make that really accessible. And that's where StartupCash came from.
How about, I love that. And how about other people, like other tools? You probably seen like Loshmi, many other creators create by putting their tools for people. And like, do you think it's like 1 month or a trend for a month, or maybe even less, like a week or two? Or it can be, as you said, like you will call it building a product, or it can be sustainable for a long term. It can be improved, and it can make this retention of the people so they come back to your product. So how do you see it? Just from the whole sentiment, narrative for OnCT.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about vibe coding specifically, I do not believe vibe coding is a trend in any form or fashion. Vibe coding is just the next step in development, and development's not a trend. You know, like people develop products. Vibe coding just makes that accessible to anyone. I've vibe coded a ton of stuff. I have like 8 products I've vibe coded so far, I think. And it's definitely not just a trend. I think that what vibe coding effectively does is it democratizes the production of products, because before, like if you were to remove vibe coding from the equation, it costs like a ton of money to build stuff. Like it's super, super expensive, you know, like 5 to 6 figures to build like pretty simple to more complex products. And like most people are just so incapable of doing that. So like you could have an awesome idea, but like you have this huge wall to get over, which is having capital and then being willing to take the risk on that capital to develop your idea. But that's pretty much completely gone. Like you can build really crazy stuff with Claude Code. And I know this because I've built tons of it. And so I definitely don't think it's a trend. I think that, or maybe a better way of saying it is a trend. And the trend is that the barrier to develop your ideas is decreasing, and it's going to continue to decrease as AI gets better at this. And so the takeaway from that is, if you have an idea, go build it, because the next year is going to be crazy. There's going to be so many products built by AI, like vibe coded, so AI plus human, that become really, really successful. And if you have an idea, you're probably not the only one who has that idea. And if you don't develop, someone else is going to develop it and get rich off of it. So it might as well be you. So you should probably go and build an idea if you have an idea. That's my take on vibe coding.
That's so true. And to be honest, like what I see around for the past months with these like products, it's mostly for creators, right? But in my opinion, it can be done. Maybe someone already have this idea or already build it, but build something for companies, actually, for founders, for builders, not only for creators. And I think it would, if, you know, these tools for creators are going viral and all over the timeline with different cold retweets, different content, for builders and companies, it can be actually even more valuable. And it can give you a much bigger impact, in my opinion, and monetary value as well later. Who knows? So yeah, definitely. I'm also thinking to dive deeper into it, have some ideas, mainly for Minecraft, of course, like podcasts, spaces. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? Thanks for your opinion.
Build them.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, go and build your ideas. Everyone says like the day they heard of Bitcoin first, so they'll be like, you hear people say this often. It'll be like, I first heard of Bitcoin in like, I don't know, 2011. Like, dang, I just wish I bought Bitcoin. You know, if I just bought Bitcoin. Like, vibe coding is going to be the exact same thing. 10 years from now, everyone's going to be saying, if I just started vibe, like I had this idea for this app, someone else built it and now they're a billion. Like I could have built it, you know, like people are going to be saying that. Like that's 100% going to happen, and to a larger degree than Bitcoin, I believe. And so, yeah, just don't miss the opportunity.
Please, even if your idea will not go viral, will not reach a lot of attention, and let's say you will just fail with that, but you will have experience already with AI, and that's the most important point. I had conversation with Avi recently, and he mentioned that I asked him like about the main aspects they concentrate on when hiring people to AP Collective, and he said as one of the aspects, AI native people. And I think it will only increase with time, as you said, in a year, in two, it will be one of the like necessary skills you need to have alongside others, like marketing or any other skill. So yeah, that's so true. And guys, if you are a clipper, or if you want to make a clip, make sure to clip what we already discussed, or wait for another moment's clip. I will be happy to see more of your clips on the timeline, and will do it myself because I started to work on distribution more actively. But yeah, so coming back to Reach Network now, you already like shared a bit of a story, origin story, how it all started, and what's inside, how you changed your strategies. But if we speak like generally, what are the main differences between you and many other agencies?
Sure. There's two key differences. The first one, whenever you speak to an agency, the really common experience is you get on a call with them, they run you through pitch decks, case studies, and eventually you get to this slide that's all of the different things they do to support brands. And on this slide, there's typically 20 or 30 different services, and it's like, oh, we can do this for you, we can do this, we can do this. That's not R3ACH. We do the exact opposite. R3ACH only does one thing. The only thing that we do is influencer marketing. And the reason we do this is because we believe that it's really hard to get good at things. And by this logic, the way that you become the best at something is through focus and through picking one vertical and doing the most reps and volume in it. We picked only doing influencer marketing because it's really hard to get good at skills, and only doing influencer marketing grants us the most reps and volume doing it, which makes us pretty good at it. So that's the first thing that makes us really different. The second thing that makes us really different is our R3ACH exclusive program. This is our talent management offer. So the thing that makes us really different from every other influencer marketing agency in crypto is that we actually manage our creators. Lots of people say KOL management, like we're the only company in crypto that actually manages KOLs. We manage KOLs businesses for them. And so these are the two things that make us really different.
We can call it as an innovation if no one did it before, but you're doing...
See, the funny thing is it's not innovation. This is like a super well-known industry. Talent management's massive. Like Taylor Swift has an agent. Like everybody in Web 2 has agents. Nobody did this in Web 3, and we were just like, okay, I guess we're gonna do it. So anyway,
that's it.
It's both innovation and not innovation.
When it comes to let's say like Holy Market, right? It's also already established in Web 2 for years, but in Web 3 it's like something new. Prediction markets, I mean, and same here. So I would say we have, let's say, to create an idea in Web 2. I was creating video content on YouTube many years ago, and I was thinking like about ideas, and I got advice, and nowadays many people talk about it. Like you can look back at old YouTube videos, which was like viral maybe, or just, interested in the concept idea. You can take it from there and just renew this idea in nowadays, in the modern world, in 21st century. But in my opinion, like when it comes to this bridge between Web 2 and Web 3, we can, steal many more ideas from Web 2 to implement them in Web 3. We are still
yes, we can.
And that means we still have a very long path to go. But yeah, that excites me a lot.
Yeah, it's exciting.
And Tom agrees with your take. Let's go. Blue Ocean Mobile. Yeah, and so R3ACH network actually like have become very established and one of truly exceptional and high-class businesses and agencies, from what I hear from other people, from what I see myself. And you're doing influencers marketing. What are the 3 main reasons influencers marketing is not dead right now, but still relevant? Because I am asking this because we have heard many opinions during KOL Managers Meta. It was at the end of 2024. Then InfoFi, we also heard about it, about like creators that they are useless, and how to structure this process properly. You have a very big roster, so I want to hear it from you. Like 3 main differences and reasons. If you got
to clarify, you want 3 reasons why why people should do influencer marketing. Is that all right?
Companies should concentrate on it as well. And why it's like...
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of angles you can take that from. I think at the most fundamental level, there's only 2 ways that people find out about your stuff. Either you tell them or someone else does. That's the whole influencer marketing pitch. It's very, very hard as an individual to just go and tell everyone about your stuff. There's like one of you in like, I don't know, 100,000 people around crypto Twitter that could buy your thing. Like, it's so hard. And you know this, you're a content creator. Like, you've spent so much time, like, working on getting people to hear you and see you on the timeline. Like, it's really, 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 really hard to build distribution. And so, again, working off of that principle, the only way that people find out about your thing is if you tell them or someone else does. It is infinitesimally easier to go and work with someone else who already has that distribution than to build that distribution yourself. I know this as well because I make content. Like, most of my content performs really bad, and I put a lot of effort into it. Like, I put a lot of effort into my content. And so whenever you're a founder and you're like 9 to 5 building this product, like, most people just don't have the time to go and actually build real distribution. And again, like, you would know this. You put a lot of time into building your brand. It's really, really hard to build a brand in crypto. And so there's not many there's not many good alternatives. Like, influencer marketing is one of the best ways to reach people because you're working with people who, again, their 9 to 5 is building distribution. You know, it's so much more efficient to work with someone who's already built that distribution than it is to build it yourself. And it's awesome to have that distribution, and that's fantastic for the brands that do, but it's so freaking hard to build that. And so, I don't have like a super organized thought, but that's one of the key principles that I think.
I got you.
That's key.
It was like a bit of a tricky question, but if we go like dive deeper into this, I have another one that I think it might be an actual alpha from you. I don't know, but I think, you know, this all conversations about influencers marketing creators started because of lots of AI slop, low quality content, low quality creators, and especially like with small creators back then when it all just, you know, started to gain momentum. People got a lot of money. So basically KOL managers just GM them and ask like about rates, and then like maybe negotiate a little bit and pay like what they asked for. And then people just started to realize that it's like wrong, and we need to structure it another way to have like only high quality creators and the best ones, no matter big or small one, and you know, pay them what they deserve, but not waste and spend money on just a slow creators. And you know, you have a big roster, as I said, which consists with big and small creators, right? So why do you think small creators are important? And yeah, let me put it like this now, and then I will ask another one to the small creators. So let's say, while we think, I just got a thought. Let's say you have like 10 biggest creators in your roster, right?
Yeah.
Basically, they have almost all the audience. They hold almost all the audience from the whole crypto Twitter, right? And you have small creators at the same time. And these small creators probably have the same audience, almost the same audience. So why it's important to have small creators as well, alongside big ones to make these influencers marketing?
I'm going to answer a slightly different question. I'm going to answer what's the role of big KOLs and what's the role of small KOLs. I think it's important to answer these two things together because they play different functions. So we'll look at our big KOLs first. So the important thing to understand is there's 3 variables that contribute to whether influencer marketing works or whether it doesn't. It is reach. This is how many people see the content. Authority. This is the percentage of those people who actually care what the KOL has to say. And this is product market fit. That's the third one, which is, do people care about what the KOL is promoting? If these 3 things are correctly aligned, then the content will perform well and the result will be created for the audience. If any of these 3 factors are missing, the content will perform poorly and the result will not be created. By this logic, the 2 variables that are controlled by the KOL are reach and authority, meaning do they make content that reaches a lot of people? And do those people actually care what the KOL has to say? This is what the KOL controls. The KOL, of course, doesn't control the product market fit. So we're going to focus on these two variables and evaluate macro KOLs and where they create a great result, and micro KOLs and where they create a great result. So let's look at macro KOLs first. So reach and authority. And the important thing to know about reach and authority that's really interesting is that they are correlated. What this means is most of the time, as a creator's reach goes up, their authority goes up as well. So we'll use like Wale as an example. Wale, a lot of people care what Wale has to say on different topics. Additionally, he also reaches the most people. And so the math is actually really interesting whenever you actually think about it like from a math equation perspective. Like with Wale, let's say I'm going to try to like freestyle this and just like come up with a math equation, but this might not work at all. So just bear with me here. So let's say it's reach and authority. These are your two variables, and reach times authority equals your outcome. Let's say your potential outcome. Let's say Wale reaches 10 people. And let's say all 10 of those people listen. So his reach is 10 and his authority is 100%. He has a potential conversion of all of those people. This is actually a bad example. I need to use bigger numbers for it to be visible. Essentially, what I'm trying to articulate, I'm going to leave out the math equation because I'm bad at mental math. What I'm trying to articulate is as reach increases, authority increases as well. What this means is that content creation in crypto is a winner-take-all game, meaning Wale can reach twice as many people than a micro KOL, but have 10 times the result because he both reaches more people and every single person in his audience is more likely to respond to that content because he has greater authority. So I'm very much a macro KOL, like bull poster, I guess. I don't know the right word. I'm bullish on macro KOLs, and this is why. Because reach and authority are correlated, which makes macro KOLs like really, really valuable in comparison. So this is where the value from a macro KOL standpoint comes from. Now looking at a micro KOL, what is a micro KOL? It's someone who has reach, but who has less reach and less authority. So it's a lot harder for a micro KOL. I should say it's a lot less likely that a micro KOL is going to be able to create the same result as a macro KOL because there's less people in their audience and there's a lower percentage of those people who will respond to the content. And so the advantage of working with micro KOLs is primarily going to be volume. So it's just the amount, like you can work with a lot more micro KOLs. And so you can kind of get this consensus effect whenever you work with a lot of them, where like you can just have a ton of people posting about a thing for like not too expensive of a rate. And so I'd say that's where a lot of the benefit from micro KOLs is going to come, is mostly just going to be in the volume of content that you can get from them. They also tend to be more efficient from a CPM perspective. So that's cost per 1,000 views. And like micro KOLs are more efficient to work with. The reason they're more efficient is because the people in their audience are less likely to respond to the content. So that's kind of where I think macro and micro KOLs fit in. If for those people who are building an audience and trying to monetize through sponsorships, I think that you should just focus on building a big audience. You know, like that's it. Like, again, I believe that crypto is a winner take all game. Like 99%, let's say 90% of the money that flows to content creators flows to the big guys. You know, that's the pool you want to play in, and that's the pool you want to get to.
I'm very happy that we have the same opinion about it. 'Cause to be honest with you, I asked this question like myself recently. I was thinking like about reach network as well, and I asked myself, why do they need like small creators if they have like, let's say 10 macro KOLs, and why they need micro creators and KOLs as well? And I answered it for me the same way, exactly the same way. So was just curious to hear your take on it. And yeah, you said like building for micro KOLs, building their audience, building their reputation, growing their personal brands, right? So for creators from 1K to 10K followers, which strategic tasks should they double down on to truly grow from all the aspects, from quality of their content, from distribution of this content, from getting audience? Just your main advice for those people.
There's a lot of things I could say. I will say one thing because nobody listens to it. Stop looking like everyone else. You know, whenever you scroll small profiles, they tend to look pretty similar almost every single time. There's a quote that articulates this well. Ordinary action, ordinary result. Extraordinary action, extraordinary result. This is how it works. You know, whenever, if you don't want to get the same result as someone, you have to act differently from them. Everyone tries to rinse and repeat the same playbook and expect to get a different result. That's not how it works, you know? And so that would be my biggest piece of advice, is just like, stop posting the way everyone else does. Like, go and do something different, you know? I see like so many people just, again, their accounts just look identical. Like, you're not going to get a different result. And I think where a lot of people get stuck is they're like, okay, if I want to be like Wale, I'm going to post like Wale. So they look at Wale's profile, they take notes, they put together a content strategy. They say, okay, this is perfect. I'm going to post just like Wale. And they get nothing remotely close to Wale's result. And the reason is because if you want to become like Wale, you have to post like Wale did when he became Wale, not like Wale does now. Because whenever Wale was growing, he did a whole thing where, I don't remember how long it was, but he's writing a thread a day, you know, a thread a day. Like, these are deep research, like well articulated, thought out, designed posts. Like, he doesn't do that now, and he doesn't have to do that now because he's developed that reach and authority. And now that's an asset that he gets to continue to benefit from. But again, so many people post the way they see big KOLs post, not paying attention to how KOLs got to where they are. And that's why so many people don't grow, you know?
That's just the reality. People never look deeply. People never study origin stories. They are just, you know, watching the results and what they see at the moment, and they take some like thoughts from it. But I would say, like, previously, in 2021 and later, even like a year or two ago, it was easier to grow probably and surprise people with something. Right now it's more difficult, but here we are coming back to our previous discussion about ideas, and that Web3 is still too early. We can take many more ideas from Web2, implement them in Web3. So I would say nothing is impossible. And about like difference and creativity, originality, uniqueness, that's actually my like life motto. I used to create video content on YouTube in my childhood, then on Instagram. Got some good results, but now I'm not doing that anymore. I'm in Web3 doing different content. But I learned a lot of lessons from there. And my main goal with Web3 was always like to be different from others. It's not that easy as it sounds when you know, try to compare everything, what you're doing, how to do it, how to present it, how will be better, how to get attention, make retention, other stuff. But nothing is impossible once again. So yeah, pretty much agree with those takes, and thanks for that advice. But you know, if we look from a different side of things, one of the most important components besides being different is to have network, right? To have people, like-minded people as your circle, also network with, you know, builders, other people. What would you advise to get this stuff? How to get it and how to make these relationships with people? Again, for those like micro KOLs, let's say with 10K full.
For sure. It's hard to say. I mean, it's hard to say because if everyone does the same thing for networking, it doesn't work. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but like, there's not like one set formula. It's kind of different for everybody. Like, what you're doing at the podcast is actually a fantastic way to network, because people who are bigger than you love to have people talk about them. So they love to come on podcasts, and so you can get in touch with lots of really big people. And so it's actually a really great way to build a network. So like, what you're doing is really smart. Now, if everybody on crypto Twitter tried to host a podcast and do the same thing, all the people would stop responding. So like, there's not like one set formula. Like, what I'd say is like, find a way that's uniquely you to create value for other people. And then introduce yourself with that value. That's what you did for me. You DM'd me and you said, I'd love to host you on my podcast. And I saw that and I was like, okay, that's valuable for me. So I'm going to do it. And now you have this great contact, which is me, who's going to respond to your DMs whenever you DM me about whatever it is that you may choose to DM me about in the future. And so you've now built your network. So like a podcast is actually a fantastic way to build a network. But there's so many other ways. Like the core root of why your strategy works is because you're creating value. Like if you want to network with someone above you, figure out how to create value for them. If you're creating value for them, they will respond. Where what most people go wrong with is they ask for stuff. They ask for value from them. You know, like I get to work with a lot of these KOLs. I get to see the asks they receive, and there's like people just ask ridiculous stuff. And so like half of these KOLs DMs are just like, follow me. Like, can you drop me a follow? Can you drop me a follow? Like, come on. Like what? It's the terrible way to network. So anyway, that's going to be the biggest thing, is figure out how to create value in a way that's uniquely you. For you, that's podcasts. For other people, that's other things. Just if you can figure out how to create value for them, you can get in touch with them.
Yes, that's so true. Like it sounds basic. Once again, everybody talk about it, but I always think about it wider. I always think like putting it into what I'm currently doing, how I can expand it, how I can, give people more value and, grow at the same time, because this at the same time, it's also important. Let's say if person runs a podcast with 1K followers and 0 audience, it's very hard to even push this podcast, even if Wale will attend, right? But so along the way, you need to try to build yourself, your personal brand, connections, prove yourself to the people, and document your journey. And I think you could study from many people, but Captain is a great example. You can check his content. Before preparing for this podcast, as I already said 10 times, I read a lot, watched a lot, just scrolled his page, and he's very good at documenting his journey in a very original way. So you would love to consume this content 100%. Thank you for such good advice. Kato also dropped a comment called Wale. Wale was writing threads, very well cooked ones. Used to be on every single spaces about ethics and such. Remembering him joining space. People think got there just by vibing. He actually cooked. Yeah, that's so true. I spoke with a lot of people from back in 2020, 2021. Like macro KOLs right now on CT, you all know them, and they all told me about hard work behind it all. And again, previously it was easier if you could deliver actual value back then. In fact, 2021, you could get like a massive audience to you if your post goes viral, but you had a very higher chance for it. But anyways, Panther, welcome. Anyways, I wanted also to touch on the point of clients, like how you get clients in Reach Network, how it works. Do you reach out to them, or you already built and established your business till the level when they are reaching out to you?
It's all inbound. We don't do any outbound. 100% inbound. We probably have, I'll tell you, I'll check how many brands contacted us this month to give you a point of reference. You can get some real data here. Let's see. We had 101 companies contact us last month. So it's all inbound. We're 100% inbound.
Nice. Or that's also like might be a good point to like just to talk about, because for people like me, for example, let's take me as an example. I'm doing my podcast, right? And I never GM'd people, agencies, or like managers to give me offers, to give me something. But I recently got many advice about that, like cold DMing, creating feed of my shows, my spaces, my podcasts, and start DMing, companies, start DMing with them with like offers, showing them metrics, showing the value, what they can give. So for big businesses, it's good. But what do you think about small ones? Or just, skills, value? what do you think about it? How?
I mean, you said you've been cold outreaching. Has the cold outreach worked for, I presume you're like selling maybe podcast slots or sponsorships. Like, has that worked for you? Has it created a good result?
I didn't make it. I didn't make it. As I said, it's just advice I got.
Okay. Got it.
So, and just offers are coming soon.
Sure.
Networks to my content, what I'm doing, but I got this advice and I was just thinking maybe to expand, I need to start cold TA.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Do I ask very hard questions?
No, I just think about questions because I want to give you a great answer. So with cold outreach and how you generate leads, like to answer your question specifically, should you do cold outreach? Well, you should do something. It could be cold outreach, but it could be something else. The way I see it is there's different ways to generate leads and there's different quality of leads that you receive through different channels. It is irrefutably better to have a company contact you than for you to contact a company. Like if you were to look at like the close rate of companies that are doing cold outreach, it's like it's insanely low. Like the way you win through cold outreach is through volume. Like let's say you DM 1,000 companies, maybe 20 of them respond. Of those 20, 10 of them will hear out your offer. 5 of them are interested in your offer. 3 of them buy your offer. Like 1,000 DMs down to 3 leads. That's really bad. Our close rate at Reach is around 50%, meaning of the companies that contact us, like 50% of them turn into business for us. And so you can't, it's impossible to get a 50% close rate on cold outreach. It doesn't exist. And so I guess my point is, from a lead generation standpoint, the best thing you could do is generate leads inbound. Find a way for people to contact you. The second best thing is to find something else to do, because the worst thing you could do is sit on your hands. That's not going to get you anywhere. Cold outreach might get you somewhere. Inbound is going to get you somewhere a lot faster, And so, as far as lead generation goes, a piece that I will share with you is one of my beliefs is, and this is honestly, this isn't even a belief. This is just observed reality. Every highly successful service company in crypto had a really strong flywheel, a really strong marketing flywheel for itself. So I'll share with you Reach's. Reach's flywheel is we fully manage creators. Whenever we fully manage a creator, that creator now generates leads for us. So whenever that creator generates leads for us, those leads then come to us and we close them and they turn into business for us, for all of our creators. This generates business for more creators who then want to become Reach exclusive with us, which generates more leads for us. And so this just creates this huge inbound funnel for us where Reach just proliferates as we go. That's why we blew up after we introduced our full management program. We had no traction. We had 3 clients our first year in business. Now we have 3 clients a week. It's the flywheel that blew us up. The same principle, I believe, can be applied in many cases. I think my belief, and of course, I'm not part of the Unfungible team, but I believe they had a really strong flywheel, because what they would do is they had their clients, they would close a client. That client would then promote their spaces, but they'd also promote Unfungible because the spaces are Unfungible branded. This then generates leads for them, which they can invite to spaces for free, which they can then upsell into space packages, which created this really strong flywheel for them until spaces no longer became a viable business model. And you can apply this to every single, I can do this with every single highly successful service company in crypto. They all have an inbound flywheel like that. All of them have that as one of the core components of their business. And so, I think it's important. I think cold outreach isn't a waste of time, and I think it's something worth trying. I don't think you're going to see good results at all from it. I think you'll see very bad results from it unless you do it in a very, very, very high quantity. And so I think if I were a small creator, I think the best thing you can do is just focus on growing. Just focus on growing. Again, it's a winner take all game. Even if you're if you're a small creator and you find a way to monetize, that's awesome. But even if you're the most monetized small creator ever, you're getting peanuts compared to the person who has that high reach and the high authority together, because again, it's a winner take all game. So that's my perspective. Hopefully some of those thoughts are useful.
How can someone earn in Web3 today if without having their own business?
if you're earning in Web3, you have a business, you know? Like that is a business if you're earning in Web3. It's just, what is your business? Like if you're a creator, that is a business, you know, if you're, so it's just the type of business you do. I mean, you can earn doing just about anything. It's just finding something that's valuable for people, you know? I think the core incentive for everybody in crypto is to make money. Meaning, what is value? What actually does value mean? Value means helping somebody make money. That is product market fit in crypto. You do not have a product that is ever going to be successful if it doesn't make people money in some form or fashion in crypto, because that's what crypto people care about. That's one of my hot takes that I deeply believe in. And so, like, for example, if you could apply this to like any service, why is influencer marketing valuable? Because it promotes products that make brands money. You know, why is a KOL valuable? Same thing. You know, why is reply guy invaluable? Because it grows your account, which allows you to monetize your account. Why is, apply this to every business model, why is OKX, the company, valuable? Because people can trade crypto and make money on their platform. Why was InfoFi huge? Because InfoFi allowed creators to monetize and allowed brands to better market themselves to make money. This is the core incentive that determines what value is. And so if you want to figure out how to create value for someone, you do so by figuring out how they make money and helping them do so. And so this is how you make money. Like, you will not make money doing anything in crypto other than helping somebody else make money. That is how you make money in crypto.